All right, what is good, ladies and gentlemen, is the Master Reviewer back again with another review, and today we're doing a review for X-Men Origins Wolverine. This is the next Marvel film that I have watched, and it is a first-time watch for me. I never saw this film before, and I went into it with pretty low expectations because from what I've heard, this is one of the worst Marvel films that have ever released. A lot of people don't really talk about this film with a lot of admiration. It is definitely not a very loved film, and I think that helped. I went into this with pretty low expectations, and so I ended up enjoying it more so than I thought I would. So yeah, with that said, let us just begin starting off with the plot. So this film is, as it lives up to its name, it is an origin story of Wolverine. So the intro, it's like really weird. I don't really get it at all. It's like basically we see Wolverine as Logan as a kid, where at this point his name is just Jimmy because he is not yet using an alias, I guess. So we have, but it's the character of Logan. So Logan, it's him as a kid, and he has a brother, Victor, and so their butler, I guess, is like taking care of Logan while he's sick. And it's like weird because like Victor, he's like brandishing a knife or something. Like I thought he was like about to kill him or something like that, the butler dude. But then I think this butler dude, I think like here Logan says that it's his. It's like at first we're introduced to him as the butler being like his father, but then this all happens like really quickly. By the way, then the butler ends up going downstairs, and then this other dude like appears with like Logan and Victor's mother, and then it feels like some soap opera shit, to be honest. Like the butler ends up getting shot, but then it's revealed that like actually the dude that shot, like in his rage, Logan ends up like activating his mutant powers. He ends up getting his claws and killing the dude that shot his father, but then we find out that the dude that he just killed is actually his real father. And so I don't know, it was really wacky and not honestly the best intro, I would say. But anyway, from there we get a montage. But from there, Victor and Logan, they run away from their house and they basically say like, hey, it's just the two of us now, we're on our own basically. And so we get a montage of the years going by, like hundreds of years go by, and so Logan and Victor, they serve in like a bunch of wars. I think the American Civil War, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, just they're in a bunch of wars and stuff, but they end up, Victor has like a lot more killer tendencies compared to Logan, so he ends up killing some fellow soldiers in like a Vietnam War, and so him and Logan, they end up getting like basically they are sent to get killed because they killed some commanders and stuff, and so but they don't end up dying because they're mutations, and so they survive, and so Stryker ends up recruiting them to be part of a kind of Task Force X, basically, where Stryker is, he's using mutants in order to kill other mutants, basically. So yeah, Logan and Victor, they're working on this team for like a while, and then eventually Logan realizes like what they're doing is pretty wrong. They're like hurting a lot of innocent people, so he ends up leaving the team. And then the film is basically Logan is now like 6 years later, I'm pretty sure, he is living with this woman Kayla, who is she's a teacher. And yeah, so Stryker ends up coming to Logan basically saying like, hey, some previous members of our team like have been killed, and like from us as the viewers, we know that it's Victor was the one that killed one of them. I think his name was like Brady or something, or Dukes. No, not Dukes. Dukes was Fred Dukes, and so Brady, like this other mutant that was on the team, he ends up Victor ends up killing him, and so Stryker goes to warn Logan, but he doesn't say that it's actually Victor that is the one that is killing him. So like anyway, so Logan, he's like, I'm not getting involved in this, but then it does lead to Victor. He ends up killing Kayla, and so this makes Logan want revenge, and so he ends up working with Stryker, and so Stryker does a procedure, which basically is what gives Logan his adamantium skeleton, and so he gets his new claws and stuff. And so, yes, moving forward, Stryker is planning to erase Logan's memories to use him as a weapon, basically, so Logan doesn't want that to happen, so he ends up running away, and so now he is on the run from Stryker, and he is still after revenge on Victor. So he goes to this barn where he meets this old couple, and they treat him all well and stuff. They give him clothing and they give him like food and stuff. And then Zero, a mutant that was on the task force team that is working for Stryker, ends up killing this couple. And so there's a whole action sequence with Logan versus Stryker, and Stryker's like force that he sends after him. They're not mutants except for Zero. So yeah, that ends up happening. And then so after that scene, now Logan basically says like, I'm going for Victor, but then I'm also coming for you too, Stryker, like basically vowing that he'll get revenge on him as well. So then at this point, Logan goes to meet John, he's like a teleporter that was also on his strike team when they were on the team together. So John ends up helping out Logan, and so Fred is also there, this other dude that was on the mutant team, and so he ends up finding out that Stryker basically has a prison of mutants. That at this point, Logan finds out that Stryker is actually working with Victor, and so now his mission is to defeat the both of them. So he finds out about this island that is acting as a prison camp for mutants, and so he finds out about this one mutant, Gambit, aka Remy LeBeau, I think his name was. So Logan ends up going to Vegas in order to meet Gambit. I think John ends up going along with him. While there, Logan speaks to Gambit. They end up getting into a fight. I think John happens to see Victor at the time, so John himself just tries to fight Victor, but then Victor kills him. And so at this point, Logan, he gets into a fight with Victor. He is about to kill Victor. This is after he kind of incapacitates Gambit briefly. So Logan's about to kill Victor, but then right then Gambit gets in the way, and so he ends up letting Victor escape. And so, but at this point, Logan says, listen, I don't want to hurt you. Well, he basically says, I want to kill the same people that you hate, Stryker, Victor, and everyone on the island basically that is not a prisoner, I guess. So Gambit agrees to work with him, and so now they are working together. So Gambit takes Logan to the island, this abandoned, I think it's 3 Mile Island, which I think is a real place, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, anyway, he's at this place, and he breaks in. He finds out that Kayla is actually alive still, and that they faked her death, and that she's actually working with Stryker. But she's in a position where she's only working with Stryker to free her sister, who is a prisoner at the island as well. So she's actually she kind of lied to Logan, but she's not a bad person still. So anyway, I think after this point, I don't remember a lot of stuff happens in the final in the third act. So it's a bit confusing to remember the specifics. But I think Logan ends up. What happens? I think. Oh, Victor arrives. He basically says hey, you promised me that I will get to fight Logan, and so Victor is about to kill Kayla because I guess she gets in the way or something like that, and so Logan arrives, and so they get into a fight once again, and at some point they did free all the mutant prisoners. I don't remember the exact sequence of events that happens, so I'll just say everything that happens, not particularly in an order. So the mutants get freed, Kayla ends up helping the mutants escape. Eventually Professor X shows up towards the end to save the mutants. Scott is there technically, but I guess Scott and Logan, they never met in this film, so it makes sense that Scott would not know Logan in the original X-Men film. So anyway, that happens. Victor and Logan, they end up fighting, I think, but then they stop fighting temporarily. I think Logan manages to incapacitate Victor. He doesn't end up killing him, and then it's revealed that Wade was also dead. Wade as in Wade, not Wade Watson, that was the character from Ready Player One. Wade Wilson, I'm pretty sure his name was, Deadpool, basically. He was also in the start of the film. He was part of the task force. They mentioned that he died, but he didn't actually die. He was a test subject on the island that Stryker was using, and so Stryker basically turned him. He combined a bunch of mutant powers, gave it to Wade, and so this is Deadpool, except it's not the actual version of Deadpool that is from the films. It's a different, I guess, version of Deadpool that it doesn't look anything like Deadpool, but it's basically Deadpool. But he has the healing factor. He has these, instead of, he doesn't have claws, but he has swords that come out of his hands and stuff, and he has powers from other mutants and stuff. So anyway, a final fight basically happens between Logan and also Deadpool. But then Victor is also there. He also ends up joining the fight in order to help out Logan, and it's a pretty good fight, honestly, just because the powers are pretty cool that Wade has. And so anyway, they managed to end up defeating Wade, and so from there, I think Kayla was injured during, I think she got injured at a certain point. I don't remember exactly how, but she got injured, and so Logan goes to try to save her, basically. But then at that point, Stryker, he ends up showing up with an adamantium gun. At this point, by the way, Victor left. He was hey, we're always going to look out for each other, something like that. But Logan was I never want to see you again. And then Victor was you don't got a choice. We're brothers. We always look out for each other. So Victor leaves at this point. Wade is defeated. At some point, Kayla, she gets I don't remember actually how she got hurt. She got hurt, but I'm trying to remember how that actually happened. So I'm going to check real quick. Okay, so apparently she just got shot in the chaos. I guess so she was injured on the beach, and then Wolverine goes to help her, to save her. They're I don't know, walking for some reason, walking towards the shore. So I don't know, walking off into the sunset or something like that. But they're probably gonna walk off screen, to just get out of the island. But anyway, so Stryker, he ends up showing up. He ends up managing to shoot Wolverine with some adamantium bullets, and he gets 2 shots off in Wolverine's brain, causing him to lose his memories. And then from there, he's about to kill Kayla. and then she ends up using her, like, she's a mutant that has, like, the power of, like, persuasion, so if she's touching someone, she can, like, cause them. It's not exactly like Mantis from, like, Guardians of the Galaxy. Mantis can control people's feelings. I think Kayla specifically, she can, like, actually manipulate people into, like, doing certain things. So she ends up stopping Stryker from killing her, and then she says, like, I'm not going to kill you, I'm not going to make you kill yourself, but I will make you, like, walk, like, you're going to walk in the other direction, you're going to keep walking until, like, even when your legs, like, are bleeding, you're going to just keep walking. And so she says like, she's not going to kill him because that would make her no better than him. But it's like, if a person's about to kill you and then you manage to, like, subdue them, like, I don't at that point it's, like, kind of self-defense. I don't think necessarily she would be worse if she was to kill him, if he was about, like, for one, he was about to kill her, and two, like, the just him keeping, like, all those mutant prisoners, like, I don't think it would necessarily be, I don't think it's, like, on the same level, kind of. But anyway, so yeah, so Stryker is, I guess, defeated now, and there's a post-credit scene. I mean, post-credit. It's like a post-credit scene, but I think it's shown, like, a bit after the credits begin. There's, like, 2 post-credit scenes, 3 depending on which version you watch. So one of the post-credit scenes was he ends up getting taken in by the army. He gets, like, to be brought in for questioning for the like, early in the film, he killed a general that wanted to stop him from his plans because he thought he was, like, it was too personal because of his whole backstory with his son causing the death of his wife. So he thought, like, okay, I'm not going to, like, let this guy be in charge of this program, which is, his whole thing is, like, he wants, like, he thought it was, like, he had a conflict of interest, basically, the general, so Stryker ended up killing the general. Anyway, so Logan now lost his memories. Kayla is dead. She bleeds out, I guess, from the injury she got. And so I already mentioned Professor X, Xavier, he shows up to save all the mutants and stuff, and so at this point, Gambit goes to Wolverine. Wolverine, like, he wakes up without his memories and stuff, and so Gambit says, like, hey, like, I'm a friend of yours, like, we have to leave, basically. Wolverine sees Kayla, he doesn't remember her, basically, and so Wolverine says, like, he's going to go on his own, and so Gambit wishes him luck, and yeah, at that point, he leaves, and the film pretty much ends at that point. I mentioned this post-credit scene where Stryker, he ends up getting taken in by the army for questioning. And I think there's 2 post-credit scenes. I think the one in the theatrical version was, like, there's a post-credit scene where it's shown that, like, Deadpool was still alive, and so that didn't end up going anywhere. But there is the actual post-credit scene in the version that I watched. It's apparently the DVD version. So the version I watched, the post-credit scene is, I think it's going to lead into the next Wolverine film, which is titled The Wolverine, where you have Logan, he's in Japan, I'm pretty sure, at this point, and he's drinking, and the bartender asks him if he's drinking to forget, and he says he's drinking to remember. So that is where the film ends. So overall, the plot, I'm going to give the plot, I would say, honestly, a 4 to 5. I did like it. I do think that this is a pretty interesting origin story where Wolverine is, like, he's a mercenary, and then he kind of, like, leaves the life, basically, but then he gets tricked into volunteering himself for this experiment, and then he finds out the truth, and so he's, like, after revenge and stuff. So I think it pretty much, I liked it. I would say I'm going to give it a 4 to 5. It worked for me. I guess for other people, I guess it didn't work. It wasn't too long. It was only an hour 47 minutes, which I think was also a plus. So yeah, honestly, I like the plot. I would say 4 to 5. I enjoyed it. Like, his revenge first, initially it's after Victor, then it's after Stryker. I think it worked for me. I would give it a 4 to 5. And so yeah. In terms of the characters, I think that Logan himself is still just a very interesting lead. I would say Victor, he seemed pretty good, like a pretty good villain to just the brother of Logan. It seems kind of random that he's just, like, very bloodthirsty constantly. It's like he ends up killing soldiers, like his own soldiers in Vietnam, and just the entire time he's, like, very much more of, like, I don't know, they didn't portray it that well, like, I guess when they were children. It's like, it seems, I don't know, they just add this aspect where it's like he's very... Victor himself, by the way, is Sabretooth, so he technically, in X-Men, the first X-Men movie in 2000, when Wolverine fights Sabretooth, like, they're brothers, but I guess at that point, Logan doesn't remember that they're brothers. For some reason, I guess Sabretooth, he looks way different, but I guess, I don't know why, really, he doesn't remember Wolverine. Maybe there's an explanation, but if there is, I don't know it at the moment, so I did try to look up, but I couldn't find an answer, so... Yeah, I would say Victor was pretty good. All of the other Strike Force member, like the Task Force X members of Stryker's team, I thought were also pretty good. Ryan Reynolds just is always entertaining, I would say. And as a final threat, like, he's definitely not as good as, like, the Deadpool from the Deadpool movies, but he is still, I would say, pretty, like, I did like the action sequences of, like, this one mutant that has a bunch of powers from other mutants. I thought it was, like, pretty good, I would say. And let's see here, the old couple, I thought they were good. Kayla, I did not really care for her initially, but I did like the whole plot twist, I guess, of that she was still alive. I thought that she's not really my favorite character, but just another kind of love interest of a Marvel character that just doesn't really work for me, but yeah, that's nothing new. Gambit, I thought was pretty good. I did know going into this that Gambit was going to be in this, and so just my only experience with Gambit was he was in Deadpool and Wolverine, which I did see, so I didn't know what this Gambit was going to be like, and I think he was good, I would say. And let's hear anyone else. John, Fred, the other like members of the task force were good. I already mentioned, I think, is there anyone else that I did not forget? Stryker himself. Stryker seems like a good, menacing villain, I would say. Is he better than the X2 Stryker? I don't know. I think he's about as good. There's like a younger version of him, I guess. And I think that it worked. It was like very much, he's still kind of motivated by wanting to stop mutants because he views them as a threat, I would say. But he is manipulating mutants in order to get that done. I think he was pretty good, I would say. So yeah, in terms of the characters, I will go I'm just going to go a 6.5 and say good characters, but yeah, just 6.5 I'm going to give them. In terms of the settings they're all right, I would say. There was the 3 Mile Island at the end, which I think was pretty good, I would say. There was some forest areas, I don't know, at the start they weren't in like a drug dealer's house, like I don't know where, like some lair of some dude that was evil. They were in at the start, like in Nigeria. And yeah, honestly, I don't really have much to say about the settings. I think that they all worked, I would say. I give them probably we'll go 6 out of 10 for the settings, above average settings. I think that it was, nothing too amazing, but I would say it all worked for the purposes of the film. So the final area where it's like Wolverine and Sabretooth, like Victor and Logan, they're fighting Wade on top of the whole silo of the 3 Mile Island. I thought that was a pretty good final fight for the final confrontation, so that was also good. The beach setting at the end, like the final scene, I thought that was also good. I would say just 6 out of 10 I'm going to go for the settings. In terms of the action, it looked off at times. Like at some certain points it did look kind of like wonky, I would say, like especially at the start. But overall, like there were some good sequences of, again, like Wolverine anytime he's fighting is pretty cool. Like this guy that can just take a bunch of like really strong character, like this claws and stuff. It's pretty cool when he's using them. The invulnerability, not invulnerability necessarily, but his recovery, like he doesn't take any damage and stuff. So it's always just fun watching him fight, I would say. The fight against Deadpool at the end I thought was pretty cool, where he was, again, like Deadpool, he had the powers of like all these other mutants, so I thought that was cool. Victor, it was also cool seeing it. Like Victor is basically Victor acted like a Sabretooth, like he definitely acted a lot more like an animal than Wolverine was, and so I thought that was pretty good. Like these two characters that have like similar powers, I thought that it worked in this case a bit more than maybe, I don't know, comparing it to like Iron Man, where an Iron Man versus the Ironmonger in the original Iron Man film, I would say it felt, I don't know, not as interesting to watch as in this case where it's like two, I don't know, I guess this power set was a bit more interesting to watch a fight between two similar power set characters compared to like in the original Iron Man movie, I would say. And yeah, Gambit's, his powers are pretty cool. The teleporter, John the teleporter from I don't know his actual superhero name, but he was pretty cool, I would say. The sequence at the beginning of like the actual task force, like using all their powers, I thought that was pretty good. Zero with like his gun is shooting and stuff. I would say the action I would give a 7 out of 10. I'm going to say it was pretty good action, but it did look not the best at times, I'm going to say. In terms of the worst thing I'm going to say is probably, I'm not sure. I didn't like Kayla at first, but then the whole like at first I was planning to maybe say like Kayla because I just didn't care for, it was like a very generic motivation of like, oh, he's motivated by revenge of a loved one that died. It's like it didn't feel that interesting, I would say, but then the reveal I think made it better, I guess. So I don't know, the worst thing I'll probably just say was the intro was like really goofy. I'm going to probably give it to the intro. I'm going to say the intro was probably pretty, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. I'm going to say it was bad, like not a good intro, definitely, of them as kids. I would say I did like the montage of like Logan and Victor going through all the wars and stuff, I would say was better than the actual initial intro of like them as kids. But yeah, that intro was not great, I would say. In terms of the best thing I will say was probably, I'm not sure, maybe as like just an origin story as a whole, but in that case I'll just give it to the plot. I'll just reuse the score of the plot. I gave it 4 to 5, so I'll give another 4 to 5 because yeah, this was honestly an origin story that I enjoyed. I did not really, I know other people didn't like it as much. I think it worked pretty well. I don't see any like plot holes really there's no plot holes really that come to mind when I'm thinking about it. Like maybe people had an issue because it wasn't consistent with the actual original X-Men trilogy, but I'm thinking about it and I didn't really see, and I might be missing something, and it has been a bit since I have watched the X-Men films. At this point, it's been like a few months, I think. So, but anyway, I think it worked for me. Honestly, I would give it the plot. I gave it 4 to 5. I'm going to reuse the plot score, so another 4 to 5. And yeah, that's all the scores. Let me see if I have any extra notes to mention. I did like so I did like the old couple's death as motivation better for Kayla. Like for Kayla, it felt like a bit too generic. But when we actually saw like this old couple, it's like they're being nice to Logan, and then him actually like kind of like connecting with them a bit, and then them dying. I thought that was better motivation for him to go after Stryker than just Kayla, this person. And it's like we're introduced. It's like okay, they love each other and stuff, and then but it's like I don't know. We didn't really see a lot of scenes of them kind of bonding, I guess. So yeah, the Kayla death felt generic. The old couple actually felt like decent motivation, I would say. So I will say this, I did see the Stryker. I didn't see the Kayla twist coming, but I did see the Stryker twist. It did seem pretty obvious. It's like, okay, yeah, I have a feeling that Stryker is the one that is working with Victor, and he sent Victor to kill Kayla. Like, I did see that coming. I didn't see the whole twist of, like, Kayla actually still being alive, though. But the Stryker twist, it was kind of obvious. Like, even me having never seen the film, like, I was able to predict it. So yeah, that is all of the notes, and so I'm going to do the calculations. So King Crimson. All right, so it ends up coming out to about a 6.5, which would be good, but I think I'd probably still give it a bit lower than that. I was thinking, like, while watching it, I'd probably give this between, like, a 5.5 to a 6. I thought it was between decent and above average, and I'll be generous. I'll give it above average. I would say a 6 out of 10. I enjoyed this. I think just going into it with, like, such low expectations of, like, having heard people said that, oh, this is, like, one of the worst movies of all time and stuff, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I guess most people did, so I would give it probably like a 6 out of 10, I would say. I thought it was above average, and yeah, that is pretty much all there is to it. So if you have any recommendations, any shows, movies, video game stories, anime, manga, web series, anything that you want me to review, leave it in the comments and I will maybe possibly check it out. With that said, that is pretty much all there is to it, so let's leave it at that.